And I overheard you doing your tropical and all of your recordings in the morning, and we're in for kind of a surprise later this week, huh?
A huge change. Get ready for a 20-degree temperature swing. When we talk about the afternoon highs, unseasonably warm. We've felt that the last few days. Temperatures are headed back in the mid to upper 80s later on today, but this time next week, those temperature readings will struggle to make it out of the 60s. So yes, we've got a big temperature swing on the way. Get ready. I know some of you are super excited about this big change in temperatures. I know I am. Out the door this morning, unfortunately, you will not notice a huge difference. It will remain warm. It's going to stay sticky across the area. Temperature-wise, we're starting off in the low to mid 70s, upper 70s down along the coastline. We've got a few more days of this before we eventually get that change. Now, the breeze is coming in from the Gulf, and at times they've been elevated. Yesterday, we did see those gusts, as I talked about, between 25 and 30 miles per hour. That's in the cards for today. So be prepared for some breezy onshore winds. We've got small craft advisories once again in effect for our coastal communities through about 1 o'clock this afternoon. You'll notice this line of heavy rain and thunderstorms. This is happening right now out toward West Texas. For us, we're still showing some isolated shower activity. We're not going to see much in the way of that activity as it fizzles out, as it approaches I-35, the hill country. But you can see just some spotty rain showers impacting some of our friends down along the coastline. A lot of these showers are racing further up to the north and then fizzling out. Most of the activity this morning will be isolated. By the afternoon, we've got some deeper tropical moisture headed our way, but a lot of that moisture is going to be favoring our coastal communities or areas west of I-45, closer to the I-35 corridor. Now, I've got you down today for a 30% chance of those showers and storms late afternoon into the evening hours. So if you do have some outdoor plans, be prepared for dodging a few of those showers. Want to give you just a quick preview of the 10-day, and then we'll get more into the story of how this all unfolds. But you can see very active weather pattern for us, especially tomorrow with a 60% chance for showers and storms. I'll talk about the flood risk, go into the weather story coming up in my full forecast. Morning, and yes, Halloween just around the corner. We're keeping an eye on that temperature trend. We're tracking some warm temperatures this morning. Temperature readings in the low 70s, but the source of the cold air that is going to be moving in just in time for Halloween, yeah, it's coming in from Canada. And this cold air locked up around Calgary and Edmonton, this is moving in our direction, and that is going to bring a huge drop in temperatures next week. I'll have the latest details on that and our rain chances coming up in just a few minutes. But first, the air quality report sponsored by Bingo Blitz. And we're starting off with temperature readings in the low 70s. Noticing a little bit of a temperature change compared to yesterday, but not a huge one. About 3 degrees cooler. You will notice the winds will steadily increase as we get into the afternoon. We could be clocking wind gusts, at least in the Houston area, between 20 to 25 miles per hour. But similar to yesterday, there could be a few spots that clocking closer to 30. We've got some strong thunderstorms building out west. And when you look at future track, you can see the majority of these showers and thunderstorms are going to be pushing toward the north and east. We'll be on the isolated to scattered side today, but by tomorrow, if we put this in motion, there's going to be this line that develops toward the hill country sometime Thursday morning. We're going to be watching it as the showers and thunderstorms approach I-45. Some of them will be on the strong side. There could be some spinning in these thunderstorms. We'll have to monitor that, some strong gusts as well. But you can see some slower moving thunderstorms, some training thunderstorms that could lead to some street flooding. I think the morning will be okay. It's the afternoon and evening where we need to stay weather aware for the possibility of some street flooding. I'll have more details on this and what's ahead for the weekend and that big cool down coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Elita, thanks.
But you know what? Everybody is going to be rejoicing with some of the changes we've got in the forecast. I know it hasn't felt like fall the last few days, but hang in there. We've got a few more days of these as we've got some deeper moisture coming in, courtesy of Otis. I'll have the latest details coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah. We absolutely have to keep that in mind when we go past Elita's desk, because she has so much candy at her desk.
As long as you swish with water and you don't brush your teeth until 15 to 20 minutes after that. Thank you for all those tips. All right, weather-wise for today. We do have some rain in the forecast, my friends. It's not going to be too damp for today, but some of our roads may get very slick as we get into the afternoon hours on Thursday, especially during the evening when we think our event for showers and thunderstorms will peak. We'll see the most widespread activity occurring around that time. And then we'll see a drop off in those rain chances, at least on Saturday, as that main plume of moisture starts to lift up to the north. By Sunday, the rain chances return to about 30% as our next cool front now looks to arrive a little bit earlier than anticipated. So once it swings through Sunday night, there's still going to be moisture overrunning or overlapping that front. That's why the rain chances for Monday is at 40%, but slowly but surely, just in time for trick-or-treat time, we should be drying out and temperature readings will be cooling off. Here's a live look at the radar this morning. I mentioned isolated activity. You can see that with those very few specks of green and yellows, just indicative of a little bit of precipitation on the map. Otherwise, you've got a dry sky, partly to mostly cloudy conditions. Temperatures have dropped off in the low 70s, upper 70s, closer to the coastline. The breeze this afternoon is expected to pick up this morning. 10 to 15 mile per hour winds will be most common along the coastline, weaker inland. But as we get into the afternoon hours, our wind gust potential will be closer to 25 and 30 miles per hour, and then slowly dropping off as we get into the evening hours. How about those temperatures? Similar to yesterday, not a huge change for today. You're not going to see a big temperature difference. Upper 80s to low 90s. I'm thinking maybe a degree or two warmer out towards Sealy, Navasota, closer to the coastline. You're in the low to mid 80s. So here's the setup. We're still monitoring Hurricane Otis. That made landfall earlier this morning along the coast of Acapulco. You can see the jet stream winds digging southward. That's eventually going to tug some of the remnants of Otis in our direction. It won't be much of that moisture today. Today we'll just get some of that Gulf moisture, a few widely scattered showers along the coastline. Got you down for a 30% chance for those showers and thunderstorms. And then it's overnight tonight where we start to see a little bit more activity along I-45 corridor, but it's really I-35 out toward the hill country where the majority of that moisture will start to develop early in the morning on Thursday. By the afternoon and evening hours, we're going to be watching that line as it progresses eastward. Now, if you'll notice, some areas could get some slow-moving thunderstorms and maybe even some training, meaning that some of those storms will move over the same areas over the course of the afternoon and during the evening hours. But once we get into the overnight, early morning hours on Friday, most of us should wake up to mostly dry conditions. We've got another round of some showers and thunderstorms on Friday, but it will be less than what we see on Thursday. Now notice the rainfall totals in some areas, especially north and west of Houston. Could see pockets of anywhere between 2 to 5 inches of rain. And so that could lead to some street ponding, some isolated street flooding. We've got that risk elevated a bit west of I-45. That also includes some of our friends south and west of town, those of you in Fort Bend, the Wharton, out toward Edna as well. So we'll be monitoring that. That plume of moisture sticks around for Friday. Then over the weekend, you can see that lifting up to the north. Here comes the front. There's going to be a huge difference in dew points. Very dry air to the north, very warm and sticky air as we get into Monday, but the temperature readings will be dropping. And when we talk about a temperature drop, this is Sunday afternoon, mid to upper 80s. Look at the highs in Amarillo on Sunday afternoon. There is a 40-degree spread. So by Monday morning, that cooler air is funneling into our area, meaning those temperature readings are going to tumble, and it's going to stay that way. We are changes in the weather, guys. Yes, that's why it's going to get better. Instead of sweating it out, we're going to actually need some sweaters about a week from now, maybe even earlier. Tomorrow, as we've got more moisture to work with, I'll have those details for you, and also our flood risk for tomorrow coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Elita.
And over the next couple of days, some of you will be reaching for that umbrella. Today's rain chance at 30%, but those rain chances are building. I'll have the latest details straight ahead.
Hey, we made it. Middle of the week. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Jacob Branscone.
And I'm Samika Knight. It is hump day.
Hump day.
Yes, and I clearly did not get the maroon memo.
You
I'm
didn't.
loving
I mean,
this.
I left you out of.
Thanks.
That's all right.
I know.
But I knew you were doing the pink all month long.
Yes,
Yeah.
all month long. Only a few more days left again for readings at this hour. We're in the low 70s. Not a huge change compared to where we were yesterday at this time, but dew point temperatures, yeah, they're up there in the low 70s. So it's another sticky start to the morning. Don't worry, we've got some changes on the way. The next few mornings will be similar. Tomorrow morning, somewhere around 70. 74 degrees is where we should bottom out. But look at the big drop in those morning lows. Yeah, we're headed back down in the 50s. Eventually, Halloween morning, we're in the 40s. But before we get there, we've got a few more days where we're sweating it out. This morning, those temperatures in the low to mid 70s, that warm, humid air is going to help fuel these thunderstorms out toward West Texas. Don't worry, today is not going to be an active weather day for us. We'll see some isolated shower activity, chances for rain building during the afternoon at 30%. I'll walk you through future track, but also show you a 60% chance of showers and storms for tomorrow coming up in just a few minutes. Sam. Look at the storm system now. It's definitely lost its classic feature, that eye, if you will. Yes, hurricanes have an eye, and you can see that center of circulation as it made landfall earlier this morning. Now that it has made landfall, it's going to go through what we call rapid weakening. Its interaction with land is what's going to pretty much make it fall apart, and that's what we're seeing based on the latest satellite model. It's still a Category 4 hurricane as of the last advisory, which was 4 o'clock this morning. Maximum sustained winds of 130 miles per hour, maximum sustained wind gusts of up to 160 miles per hour. And as I mentioned, rapid weakening. So by this evening, should be down to a tropical storm and then a tropical depression first thing tomorrow morning. Now, some of this moisture is going to get scooped up as those jet stream winds. Look how far south these jet stream winds are digging. It's going to tap into some of that moisture, some of the northern fringe of that moisture, and it's going to scoop it up and push it into southeast Texas tomorrow. Now, for today, there's going to be a chance for some wet weather, not necessarily attached to Otis, but nonetheless, we'll see some clouds beginning to build, a few spotty rain showers, and then overnight tonight, we'll be monitoring a line of showers and thunderstorms moving in across the hill country and then pressing toward I-45 toward the Houston area late afternoon into the early evening hours, and then dissipating once we get into the overnight hours Thursday into Friday morning. Friday, we've got another round of showers and thunderstorms, but not the same coverage that we're going to see on Thursday. In fact, the coverage on Thursday is at about 60%, but higher the north and west you are of town. That's where we could see accumulations between 2 to 5 inches. And some of these heavier downpours, slower moving thunderstorms, could lead to some street ponding, some street flooding. That's why we're seeing those areas west of I-45 highlighted for the potential for some street flooding. Here you can see the leading edge of where that risk starts, and then it's further off toward the west. So that includes our friends out in Katy, out in Sealy. Just be on the lookout that tomorrow some of those thunderstorms could train over your area and could increase that probability, that chance for seeing some street ponding. This morning, though, nice and quiet out the door. We'll be monitoring, of course, those very strong onshore winds that'll develop this afternoon, gusts between 25 to 30 miles per hour. Look for temperature readings to warm in the mid to upper 80s yet again, and then we will start to see some changes heading into our area. Over the weekend, still very warm and humid, but the rain chance is lower on Saturday. By Sunday night, we've got our next cool front. That's going to deliver some colder air. Big drop with highs only in the 50s and 60s next